Wylde Plumb friends. Today I'm going to teach you how to make an origami lotus flower. These make really lovely gifts. I've given these to teachers and they still have them on their desk years later. You can use any kind of paper. The instructions, which I'll put a link to in the information below the video, actually show you how to do it with pages out of a magazine. You can just take some pretty colored pages from a magazine. I'm going to use some cardstock today. This is pretty thick. It's a little harder to fold. The thinner paper you use, the easier it'll be to fold, but the thicker paper you use, the longer it will last. So just pick whatever paper you're comfortable working with. You need 8 sheets of a pretty color, which are going to be your flower petals, and you need 4 sheets of the same size of a green. Now, it doesn't matter what size you use, but they need to be twice as long as they are wide. So these sheets are 6 inches by 3 inches. I've made them lots of different sizes, but again, twice as long as it is wide. And I'm actually going to use a little bit smaller size for showing you how to fold them so they fit in the frame here a little better. These are 4 by 2. And again, you need 8 of the petal color and 4 of your leaf color. Now you're going to fold the petals and the leaves just the same way right up till the very last fold. So let me show you how to do that. You're going to fold them in half lengthwise. Get a nice firm crease there. And then open it back up and fold both ends as though you're going to fold an airplane. I like to leave a little tiny bit of space in the middle because we're going to end up folding it the long way again, and it just makes it a little bit easier to fold if the edges don't go quite all the way to the middle. So I fold both sides like I'm going to make an airplane. Then I lay it this way and I fold the edges into the center again. Again, leaving just a little bit of space so that they don't quite meet in the center. That makes it a little bit easier to fold. For the petal flowers, you're going to then fold this outward so that all of your folds are on the outside. And if you note, I've already done that. I'll show you with all 8 of my petals. So I have 8 and they're all folded just like that. Now let's put those aside and let's do our leaves. You're going to do 4 of the green color and you're going to start out exactly the same way. We're going to fold it lengthwise in half and then open it back up. Do both ends like you're making an airplane. And you can see I haven't folded it perfectly. That's okay. These are really forgiving. It's okay if you don't have perfect folds. I believe in excellence, not perfection. Excellence is possible, perfection is not. And we're going to fold those sides into the center again. So far we've done it exactly the same way as we did with the petals. But this last fold, we're going to do the opposite way. Instead of folding the folds out, we're going to fold them in. So there you end up with the very same thing, but with the leaves, you have all of the folds on the inside, and with the petals, you have all the folds on the outside. For our next step, we're going to need a paper clip or a bit of wire. I'm going to take my paper clip and I'm just going to open it all the way up. The first time I saw one of these lotus flowers, my kid's babysitter made one, and she used a rubber band. And you can use a rubber band, but over time rubber bands dry out, get brittle, and break, so eventually your lotus flower will fall apart. But if you use a paper clip or a bit of wire, that won't happen to you. So I'm going to bring all of my leaves and all of my petals, and I'm going to show you how to assemble your lotus flower. So you have 8 leaves and 4 petals, and you're going to make bundles. So I'm going to take a petal and I'm going to hold it boat ways so it kind of looks like a boat, and I'm going to put one of my petals on top of the leaf, and then I'm going to do it again with a second petal. So you use 1 leaf and 2 petals for each of your bundles. Now, the important thing to note, look how they nestle together. you do not want this to happen. You don't want to tuck it in so that part of the lower petal is sticking out. It needs to be completely nestled like that. Now, when I sit that down, it tries to come apart again. So instead of lying it down by itself, I like to take my little bundle, because I've got to make 3 more bundles, and I'm just going to stick it here between my fingers to hold on to it while I make the other bundles. So I take a leaf, one of the leaves, and I put 2 petals on top of it, making sure that the one on top completely encloses the one beneath it. And I'm going to just put that next to my first one, tuck it in there, and make the next one. So you're making 4 of these. 1 leaf with 2 petals, always making sure that they're completely tucked together. Getting a little bit bulky back here, but that's okay. We've just got 1 more to do. Put that little bundle together. Remember, you're making them like they're boats. Now I've got all 4 of my bundles, and I want to put them all next to each other. Try to get them lined up so that they're straight, and keeping it in the boat configuration, okay? Not like this. You want it like this so that they're boats. And they should all be sitting right next to each other. I'm going to take my paper clip and make a U. It doesn't have to be perfect. Again, we go for excellence, not perfection. Right in the middle. And I want the ends on top because this is going to be the center of the flower and nobody's going to see that. So I'm just going to twist them so that they hold my petals together. And you know what? I don't even like that little thing sticking off, so I'm going to take a pair of wire cutters and I'm just going to get rid of that. Again, that's going to be tucked in the flower. Nobody's ever going to see it. So get that paper clip or wire right in the center. Now turn it this way and make sure they're as even as you can get them. Then take the outside one and bend it in half. Now this gets a little tricky. My paper is really thick and you can see my paper starting to buckle a little bit and fight the folds. The thinner your paper is, the easier this step's going to be and the next step. I'm going to kind of hold that together so that I can bend those outside ones in half. And then I'm going to do the same thing with the next 2. I'm going to fold them in half and kind of bend them in the middle because what I want is the flower shape like that. Now, if you remember, each bundle has 3 parts to it. So on the bottom is the leaf and then you've got 2 petals. So these 2 petals are going to make 2 rows of petals. So turn it back over so that you're looking at the center of the flower. And just take any one of these top petals. I'm just going to be using this top one. This is the part that can get a little tricky and the paper can want to tear on you if you're not careful. But you're going to hold it here and you're going to fold it so that that top turns up. Sometimes the paper likes to tear right here or on the edges. If your paper is really stiff, you can kind of rub it between your fingers, kind of warm and soften it up a little bit. But you want to turn this petal, you can kind of pull it and push it at the same time so that it is sticking straight up like that. And I like to give it a little press here on the bottom to really make it firm. So that's the first petal of the first row. And I did it on this bundle, so I'm going to skip the next bundle and go to the one after it and do the same thing. And turn that up. Again, it sometimes wants to tear here or on the edges. So just be as gentle and ginger with it as you can. Get the center ones turned up and tucked up as close as you can. So there's number 2. I'm going to skip the next bundle. I'm going to go to the next one, turn this one up, This is the part that takes a little bit of finesse, and you may find your paper tearing a bit. Again, if you use a thinner paper, it's going to tear a little bit less on you, but it won't last quite as long. Okay, I'm going to skip that next bundle, and I'm going to go, and this is number 4. Turn that one up. Oh, you can see my paper tore. It tore right there. Now, because this one's going to be on the inside, I'm not going to worry too much about that tear. If it's going to show, oh, it tore on the other side too. You can put a little bit of tape on it to hold it together. Or you can just say that was a learning experience and I'm going to do better next time. But again, those are in the middle petals. I don't think they're really going to show that much, so I'm not going to worry about that tear. Well, now I did these 4 of the inner row. Now I can do the 4 that I skipped. And the reason that you do every other one and then go back and fill in is so that they layer nicely. So now I'm going to do these other 4 inner petals that I skipped the first time around. And I tore another one. But I'm not going to swear, I'm not going to scream, I'm not going to cry. I'm just going to go around and do all of those inner petals. We'll see how this one looks when I'm all done. Again, that inner row of 8 petals, you want to get them as tight as you can to the center. And this one, I'm going to try to turn those edges without tearing them. Okay, and I think then I've got one more of these inner row, and I can tell because here's the innermost petal and then there's the next level, next row. So this is the last one on the innermost row. I'm going to turn it, kind of pull it in the edges and get that to turn up. There we go. Okay, now I've got all 8 of the inner ones all done. So now this is the last one I did. So I'm going to go to the very next one. I don't want to do the same one. If I finish here, I don't want to go here. I want to go over one because again, I want them to overlap. So here is the first petal of the outer row of petals. This one's not going to be able to turn up as much, and that's fine because you want it to be wider. I'm going to skip this one and I'm going to go to this one. Turn it up the same way. See how it nicely overlaps the 2 that are next to it? I'm going to skip this one and go to this one. Give it a little pinch there so it stays open. I'm going to skip this one and I'm going to go to this one. Okay, now I've just got 4 left. 1, 2, 3, 4. And it doesn't matter which one I do next. I guess I'll go to this one. You can see I did not do a good job of keeping all of my bundles even because some of them are sticking out more than other ones. I'm going to finish all the petals on this row. These are not tending to tear as much because you don't have to pull on them quite as hard. So those torn ones are hidden in the middle and nobody's even going to see them. Oh, except I just tore that one. Shh, don't tell anybody. I'm going to finish up my petals. That's my last petal. And now all I have left are my leaves. These are easier. All I have to do is open them up. I'm going to open it and just turn the very tip up, because that will keep it open. So pull it open and just turn that tip up. Pull it open, turn the tip up. All the way around, and you don't have to skip on these. You can just do every one of them in a row because these aren't overlapping. And there you go. There's a lotus flower. If your petals are a little messed up like mine are, you can wiggle them around a little bit. You can tend to make them a little bit more open or a little bit more closed. But that is a lotus flower. I hope you enjoyed this video.